Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The Nexus was unlike any place Jack had ever seen. A hodgepodge of cultures and colors smashed into a colossal structure, floating quietly in the void of space. The bustling market sprawled across multiple levels, filled with tantalizing sights, smells, and sounds. Alien traders and travelers from every corner of the galaxy populated the vibrant halls and corridors, hawking their wares with shouts in languages that twisted in Jack's ears, their colorful bodies reflecting the chaos of interstellar life. As Jack made his way through the throng, he took in the world around him. Creatures with tentacles negotiated prices with leathery-skinned merchants, while children playfully darted under the legs of towering beings. He could hardly recall a time when the dull gravity of Earth felt so far from him. Jack was a mechanic, a title he wore like a badge of honor, but even as he moved with purpose, he couldn't shake the creeping sense of loneliness that accompanied him. With grease-stained hands and a rumpled jumpsuit clinging to his wiry frame, Jack sought refuge in Hangar 47, the place he would call home during his time on the Nexus. The familiar sounds of engines whirring and metal clanking greeted him like an old friend. He'd arrived on the station several months ago, seeking new opportunities and escape from the burdens of Earth. Yet today felt off. The usual comfort of the workspace was absent, weighed down by the silent longing in his heart. In a universe so vast, he sought connection, adventure, and the feeling of belonging. Working on ships scattered throughout the galaxy, he often daydreamed about the lives of their owners, who they were, where they were going, and what stories they could tell him. "Jack!" a voice called out, jolting him from his reverie. It was Sam, the station manager, a burly fellow with an ever-present scowl. "Get your head out of the clouds. We've got a ship coming in that needs immediate repair." Jack nodded, pushing aside his thoughts of adventure. He moved to the ship in question, an antique model caked in space, dust with faded images of a distant world painted on the side. As he began to assess the damage, a shadow fell over him. Jack glanced up, squinting against the overhead lights. There she stood. Zyra was magnificent, with blue skin that shimmered under the harsh hangar lights and long hair dyed a shade of blue that reminded Jack of Earth's oceans. She radiated an otherworldly beauty. Her features were alien yet strikingly human. Her eyes, large and expressive, moved with an intelligence that intrigued him. "Need a hand with that?" she asked, leaning over him, her voice melodic and warm. I think I've got it," Jack muttered, a mix of embarrassment and intrigue washing over him. He could hardly focus on the task at hand, transfixed by her presence. As Zyra stepped closer, the scent of alien flora enveloped him, sweet and earthy. She reached down, expertly fixing a part of the ship's engine as if it were a simple puzzle, while Jack stood mesmerized. "How did you?" "Studied on Osrith Nova. Basics of mechanics are in our blood," she teased, her eyes glinting with mischief. "And you might want to consider taking some classes yourself. Earth shouldn't have a monopoly on mechanics." Jack chuckled, trying to regain his composure. Maybe a local college when all this is over. You know, a little less grease and a little more glamour. Their banter flowed easily between them, weaving a thread of connection that felt new yet comforting. As Zyra departed, a sense of longing lingered within Jack. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something profound. Over the following weeks, Jack discovered that the chaos of the Nexus became a little less overwhelming, with Zyra constantly popping into his life. They traded playful banter and delighted in sharing their vast differences. Each day was a new chapter of laughter and mutual learning, a forging of a friendship that seemed to fill the void within Jack's heart. Jack started looking forward to the moments when Zyra would appear, often bringing spare parts or tools he needed. They met at the hangar after her deliveries and worked side by side, laughter mingling with the sounds of machinery. Zyra shared everything from technical tips to stories about her upbringing on Osrith Nova. One afternoon, as they sat amidst disassembled engines, Zyra turned to Jack, her expression serious yet curious. "What was it like growing up on Earth?" she asked, her voice filled with interest. Jack hesitated. "Earth is complicated. It's beautiful and diverse, but it feels like everyone is always in a rush. Little time for real connections. You. Zyra leaned back against a crate, her eyes distant. Osrith is vibrant, full of life and trade, but there's a pressure to always perform, to succeed. I came here to find independence, to be more than just my family's legacy. That sounds daunting, Jack replied, empathy swelling in his chest. It is, but it's also exhilarating. I love my craft, and I love this space. Her eyes lit up with enthusiasm. There are endless possibilities out here. I guess we're not so different then, just trying to carve our places in the universe. Their words hung between them, charged with potential. As they fixed the ship, their hands brushed more often. The tension simmered like a coiled spring waiting to unleash its energy. Just before one of their encounters, Jack found a gift lying on his workbench, a small, intricately carved alien trinket, each twist of the design representing balance and harmony. It was signed with Zyra's mark. He felt warmth in his chest, the depth of her thoughtfulness echoing through him. During an early dinner break in the market, Jack and Zyra rummaged through alien food stalls, sharing strange food combinations that made Jack's palate delightfully confused. They ended up sitting outside, digesting their meals while sharing stories. Jack laughing at Zyra's wild tales of mishaps as she learned Earth customs, while Zyra teased Jack's awkwardness. Though, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the American way of holding a fork, she grinned. Are you sure this is the best you have? Hey, forks are essential, Jack exclaimed, defensively raising his utensil. They glanced at each other, laughter dancing in their eyes. In that moment, everything else quieted. The clutter of the market faded as they locked eyes, lost in the electric connection they had come to share. As the light outside began to fade, Jack dared to lean closer. Maybe after all this, we could. I wish I could stay, but I have to get back to the hangar. More repairs don't wait for adventures, she said abruptly, pulling away and straightening up, the moment they shared dissipating into the background. Yeah, of course, Jack said, swallowing the disappointment that washed over him. I get it. But as they returned to their routine, Jack couldn't shake the simmering tension between them. The longing to break through to something deeper grew within him. The realization hit like a freight train. He wanted more from Zyra than companionship. The remnants of his old life began to feel like a distant echo. Weeks passed, and a slight shift in the atmosphere began to linger around the Nexus. Whispers of discontent rippled through the traders and travelers, an insidious tension hanging in the air. News reached Jack that space pirates were now officially targeting the trading hubs across galaxies, demanding tribute from merchants and wreaking havoc on anyone who dared to oppose them. Jack, Sam shouted one afternoon, storming into the hangar, his face lined with worry. Have you heard the news? Jack raised an eyebrow, steel determination igniting within. What news? Pirates. They hit the eastern sector hard this morning. Several ships were lost, and they're coming closer. His eyes darted nervously. Jack's stomach twisted into knots. His thoughts immediately went to Zyra. What about the Nexus? He pressed. Sam nodded grimly. Authorities are beefing up security, but it's only a matter of time before they strike. Keep your head down. Don't go out alone. That evening, as Jack prepared for bed, he couldn't shake the feeling of foreboding tightening its grip on his chest. The next day, with the sun barely peeking out, he decided he needed to see Zyra. He had to know she was safe. Rushing to the hangar, he found her working on a vintage ship, her blue hair cascading over her shoulders, the sunlight accentuating her features. Zyra, Jack called out, approaching her. She turned, surprise marking her face. Jack, what brings you here so early? I heard about the pirate attacks, he started, urgency spilling forth. Are you safe? I'm fine, she replied, but Jack could see tension deep in her gaze. I've dealt with worse in my time out here. Besides, I won't let them take me down. But you don't have to take risks alone, Jack argued, apprehension creeping back in. We could find a safer route. You shouldn't be out there without backup. Zyra looked at him, her expression softening. I appreciate your concern, but I'm a mechanic, Jack. I have to do my job. Your job can wait. What if something happens? He urged, his heart racing. She placed her hand on his arm, grounding both of them in the moment. If I get caught, I promise I'll find a way out. I'm not afraid of facing danger, Jack, but I appreciate you caring. Then let me help, he insisted, his voice thick with emotion. You don't have to do this alone. Together? She whispered, searching his eyes for sincerity. Absolutely. Zyra's lips curled into a smile, and the tension between them began to dissolve. They shared this moment of understanding, locking eyes while the outer chaos evaporated. Despite their agreement, the next days were saturated with worry. Jack knew Zyra was resolute, unwilling to let anything keep her from her deliveries. Each time she left for parts, he found himself anxiously waiting, heart pounding as he scanned the stars for her familiar ship. Days turned into weeks, and layers of dread settled around the Nexus like fog. Trade slowed as many merchants shuttered their shops, retreating to safety. Tension gripped the air, and even the usually animated market echoed with worry. It was during one of those tense afternoons, when the seconds dragged and optimism felt like a distant memory, that Jack caught sight of Zyra's ship, confirming his worst fears. She returned battered and bruised, with smoke rising from one of its wings. His heart dropped. "Zyra!" he cried, rushing to her as she clambered out of the damaged ship. Her face was smudged with dirt, and her eyes held a weight he had never seen before. "Jack!" she gasped, catching her breath, leaning heavily against the ship as adrenaline continued to course through her veins. "Get back. We need to move now." His fingers clenched. "What happened?" "We were ambushed just outside a trade route," she explained hastily. "They knew I was coming. I barely made it out." As they moved quickly toward the hangar, Zyra's breath came out in sharp gasps, her usual confidence shaken. Jack's heart ached for her. He could see the terror roiling just beneath the surface of her tough exterior. "Are you hurt?" Jack asked, brushing aside the dirt from her face with trembling hands, holding her gaze fiercely. "I'm fine," she insisted, shaking her head even as she tried to steady herself. "But they spotted my ship. They'll come back. They always do." Determined, Jack took her hand. "Let me help. We can fix your ship. Together." Zyra hesitated, uncertainty clouding her striking eyes. Jack's heart raced. He felt desperation creeping in, the familiar protective instinct surging. "Promise me you'll stay safe." "I promise I'll do everything I can," she murmured. Together, they went into the hangar, and Jack quickly realized the extent of the damage. The engine was toast, and the hull had punctures that would take hours to fill. With their shared determination, they flew into their work, swiftly moving through repairs, Zyra's expertise shining as Jack followed close behind. Despite the urgency, a sense of solidarity blossomed between them. They became a synchronized unit, moving fluidly through each task like a well-oiled machine. As they worked late into the night, Jack glanced at Zyra, whose brow furrowed in concentration, hair sticking to her forehead. He felt an overwhelming sense of admiration, mixed with a longing to protect her. The gravity of their situation kept pressing in, and the thought of her spirit, broken by fear, haunted him. "Zyra," he started, heart pounding in the stillness of the hangar. "Yeah," she replied, wiping her hands on her jumpsuit, glancing up at him. "I know this is dangerous. I know it's hard, but you don't have to do this alone. You have me." She paused as if weighing his words. "I know. I just don't want you to get hurt because of me." Taking a step closer, Jack took her hands in his. "Then let me take some of that burden. You don't have to carry it alone." Zyra hesitated, and he could feel the walls around her coming down. Finally, she nodded, a breath escaping as she spoke with resolve. "Okay, together." In that moment, they established an unbreakable bond, a connection beyond words, a unity rooted in shared purpose, determination, and an emerging love sworn to withstand the turbulence surrounding them. As the sun began to rise outside the hangar, they worked longer into the night, caught up in the rhythm of their tasks. Days turned into a blur as Jack and Zyra prepared for what felt like a looming storm. The station's officials officially declared martial law, enforcing curfews, and evacuating areas deemed vulnerable. Tension simmered, and whispers about the pirates' looming threat grew louder. "Jack," Zyra started as they sat in the hangar one night, their voices lowered amid the pervasive uncertainty. I think they might come here. We're visible, and they rely on trade. Jack's heart sank, fear gripping him. What do? We prepare, and we stay alert. There might be a faction among the merchants that could unite against them. Like a militia? Jack asked, incredulous. She nodded, resolution etched on her features. Yes, there are enough of us willing to fight back, but we need to coordinate and gather intelligence. So we enlist the traders. Find out when and where they are operating. Jack suggested, his heart racing with ideas forming. Exactly. We can make contact with them, she affirmed, her eyes lighting up with fierce determination. But we need you. Will you join me? Count me in, he replied, swallowing down his fear. Let's do this. The next few days became a whirlwind of planning. They found allies among traders and locals, forging connections across the marketplace. As whispers of rebellion began to weave through the town, Jack felt a sense of purpose enveloping him, pushing back against the tides of fear. But doubt lingered in the corners of his mind. What would happen when the pirates struck? Would their preparations be enough? And as fate would have it, that very night, the first attack came. Jack's heart raced as sirens screamed throughout the nexus. The lights flickered ominously, and a heaviness settled over the crowd. Jack and Zyra ran to meet a group of traders preparing defenses. Jack, Zyra, over here. Sam shouted as he waved them close. What's the plan? Jack asked, adrenaline flooding his veins. We gather at the north sector, Sam replied, hurriedly drawing on a map. The pirates are in their ship, the Scarlet Maul. We have to outsmart them, or we could lose everything. Zyra's eyes flickered with determination. We have to stay organized, create distractions to lure them away from the main docks. A cold dread hung over the group, yet Jack found comfort in their collective resolve. There was a possibility here, a spark of hope battling against despair. As the pirates approached, chaos erupted. Jack and Zyra led their small band of locals, taking up positions along the perimeter and preparing defenses. Jack's hands trembled as he gripped his weapon, a makeshift tool he had fashioned from scrap metal. The ship came into view, sleek and fearsome, gliding through the shadows. Zyra positioned herself near the main entrance, a determined look etched on her face as she peered through a set of binoculars. They're landing. Get ready. Sam shouted. The ship docked with a heavy thud, sending vibrations through the air. The steady beat of Jack's heart echoed like thunder, and bile rose in his throat. Amplify the lights, Zyra commanded. We'll blind them as they disembark. Jack flipped the switches, and, in a moment of brilliance, the lights illuminated their location, forcing the pirates to shield their eyes against the blinding glow. Now, Jack shouted, springing into action. They rushed forward, launching their attacks with fierce precision. The pirates reacted in surprise, caught off guard as defenses sprang into action. The battle erupted, a storm of chaos as lasers fired and shouts filled the air. Amidst the clash, Jack felt a familiar presence near him, never letting fear take over. He could feel Zyra's determination beside him, a steadfast strength bolstering his resolve. Jack, Zyra shouted, bringing him back. Watch your left. Instinctively, Jack ducked as a pirate rushed past. He swung his improvised weapon, connecting solidly, but another pirate shoved him back, sending him sprawling to the ground. Zyra, he called out, panic surging in his chest as he struggled to rise again. She was near, unfazed by the chaos. I'm here. Her voice alone calmed his nerves. Regroup on my left. Jack surged forward, adrenaline pumping as he joined her. Together they fought back, their defenses thriving against the relentless tide of pirates. They acted like a well-oiled machine, slipping into a rhythm that felt instinctual. The tide began to turn as their coordinated effort paid off. One by one, they began to push back the pirates, fear and desperation mingling together into unity. As the battle raged on, Jack caught sight of the pirate captain, a ruthless figure shrouded in dark leather, barking orders across the battlefield. A surge of resolve ignited within him. They had to take down the captain to reclaim their home. Zyra, stay close. Jack shouted as he pushed his way toward the captain, the chaos swirling around him. He charged forward, dodging debris and clashing pirates, determined to break through their defenses. In the madness, everything faded into a swirl of color. Zyra, the traders, and the chaotic sounds faded into the background as Jack focused solely on the target ahead. He finally reached the captain, feeling a jolt of fierce determination light his veins. "You're not taking this place," Jack shouted, and with one fierce swing, he tackled the captain to the ground. The struggle was fierce, a whirlwind of fists and strength. But beneath the captain's rage lay a flicker of panic, the knowledge that they might lose. Jack succeeded in pinning the pirate captain down, finally poised to take control of the fight. Zyra appeared beside him, empowering him further. "Together," she shouted, and they both worked in tandem, forcing the captain to yield. With a final move, Jack disarmed him, and together they cuffed the pirate, the tide of battle beginning to shift as the remaining pirates fell back. As the dust settled, the traders surrounded Jack and Zyra, faces filled with awe and gratitude. "We did it," Sam said, breathless, eyes sparkling. Jack turned to Zyra, emotions surging. Relief and an overwhelming sense of accomplishment filled him. "We came together. We fought together." She smiled, a mixture of pride and awe reflecting back at him. "We did this together. You were incredible." He laughed, sweetness dancing in his chest. There was hardly anything he could say that would articulate the pride swelling within him for what they had accomplished together. As the sun began to rise over the horizon, illuminating the aftermath of their battle, Jack felt the palpable bond of unity among the traders. They had withstood adversity, emerging victorious and stronger as a community. The fear of the pirates no longer weighed heavily on their hearts. Yet amidst overwhelming joy, Jack felt something deeper linger in the air, a longing that had blossomed during their intense struggle. He turned to Zyra, apprehension flickering within him. "About earlier," he started, searching for the right words. "About what you said. Fighting together. It meant more than just a battle." Zyra met his gaze, and the gravity of their bond hung in the air, unfurling like a flower blooming in the sunlight. "Jack, I never wanted you to see danger without standing beside me. You've been my strength." His heart raced, realizing just how true her words rang. "And you've been mine." "Then," Zyra began, hesitation flickering across her features, "can we truly explore together? Not as warriors, but as something more?" Jack felt a rush of exhilaration and gentle fear. "Yes, together." Their fingers entwined and, in that singular moment, the chaos of the battle faded into the background. Jack leaned closer, and as the sun shone brightly down on them, he brushed his lips against hers, a tentative but electric connection born from shared struggles and the promise of what lay ahead. Zyra responded with a warmth that sent ripples through him, and everything else dissipated into nothingness. No pirates, no fear, just the two of them. Days turned into weeks of joyful exploration as the remnants of their fight against the pirates faded into the background. Jack and Zyra navigated the nuances of their world together, attending markets, repairing ships, sharing laughs, and discovering each other's quirks. Their bond deepened through every moment shared. The thrill of conquering challenges paved the way for dreams and aspirations, of journeys stretching across the cosmos. One evening, as they sat at a cafe overlooking the vastness of the stars, Jack leaned in closer, unyielding excitement bubbling within him. "What's next for us, Zyra?" "The galaxy has so much to offer," she replied, her eyes sparkling with dreams of exploration. "There are uncharted planets, hidden treasures in far-off worlds. I want to see it all. With you." His heart raced at the earnestness in her words. "Then let's chart our course for adventure. Where do we start?" Zyra smiled, a glimmer of mischief dancing in her eyes. "Oh, I don't know. How about that asteroid belt just beyond the Nebula Valley?" "Sounds perfect," Jack said, excitement surging within. As day turned to night, they prepared their ship for the journey ahead, a beautiful vessel now brimming with life and laughter as they infused it with memories drawn from their experiences. The ship, once a mere tool for survival, transformed into a sanctuary of shared dreams. With their hearts aligned, they lifted off from the Nexus, leaving behind the remnants of past struggles and setting their sights on unknown horizons. As they soared through the cosmos, Zyra deftly navigated through the stars, while Jack marveled at the beauty outside the viewport. Celestial colors danced through the universe, radiant hues that felt almost alive. "Look at that!" Jack exclaimed, pointing ahead. "Isn't it magnificent?" "It is," she replied, glancing at him with a smile. "But I still think you're the most amazing sight here." Jack felt warmth bloom in his chest, and laughter bubbled over at her charm. "You're not so bad yourself." The ship sailed through the galaxy, and with each new sector they explored, Jack felt the burden of doubt lift entirely. Hand in hand, they faced not just the wonder outside but the promise of a deeper connection they were building together, an adventure forged on mutual respect, shared passion, and love. As the stars stretched infinitely before them, Jack realized this journey was just the beginning. Together, they would unravel the depths of cosmos, discovering what it truly meant to explore not just the universe, but each other. In that moment, as they ventured into the void shared only between them, Jack felt the thrill of adventure and the warming promise of love enveloping them both, a union of two worlds destined for something extraordinary.